I'm Simon Leach. I'm a third-generation potter, and I'm from Devon, England. I grew up in a small town called Bovey Tracy in Devon, where my father, David Leach, had a pottery. He would take on students or take on apprentices. So I grew up in that atmosphere with clay everywhere. Then I would go into the pottery, and sometimes as a child, as a boy, and my father would chase me out and say, disturbing the students. I was so close to it, growing up with it. In fact, when I left school, it wasn't something I really wanted to do, pottery. I didn't know really what I wanted to do. After Christmas of 1978, I approached my father and asked him if, Dad, would it be okay if I could start work in the pottery? And he said yes, he'd be delighted if I could do that, if I wanted to do that. In January of 1979, I then started work in the pottery as a raw apprentice. Early days at the Lower Down Pottery with my dad and also an elder brother, Jeremy. We all worked together as a team, and it involved a lot of repeat throwing on the wheel, making basic functional forms until I gained the skills, so to speak. I think when I started working for Dad in a pottery in 1979, I'd come back from traveling. I didn't have any money. I just asked my dad, could I work for a short time? I was thinking of maybe going off traveling again, but I got slowly interested in ceramics and pottery. It wasn't something that, while I worked for Dad, was a burning passion. It developed over time. Becoming more aware, I think, of grandfather Bernard Leach's role in the ceramic world. I suppose because I was very close to, being part of the family, you're not always aware, perhaps, of the tremendous impact that he had on handmade art ceramics. So the influence, as I was slowly immersed in it, because of working with it and alongside, my father, I began to appreciate a lot of the qualities of Eastern, Oriental ceramics, both Chinese, Korean, and Japanese. After I left my father in 1984, I rented a small stable for £7 a week, and there was no electricity and no running water in it. But it didn't matter because I had a kick wheel and I had a gas-powered kiln. I really wasn't very aware of any particular style that I had. I'd spent the last 5 years learning from my father, being obedient to him, so to speak, in carrying out and executing the forms that he wanted me to make. So when I left to work and go out on my own as a potter, I didn't really know, what kind of pots I was going to make, I'll be honest. I thought, well, I've got to start somewhere. I'll start making just some basic shapes and forms and see how I get on with that. I always liked doing raku work because of its spontaneity, the colours that you could achieve, some of the crackle glazes and things like that really appealed to me. And yes, it was definitely a change from what I had been used to doing, which was cone 10 reduction stoneware firing. So this was something completely different, and it was like refreshing to me, and I enjoyed doing that for a spell. later on in my pottering career, I'd left England and I'd moved to Spain to live. Fast forwarding to about the 2006 or so, I started running pottery workshops. A friend of mine said to me at the time, "Why don't you put a video up on YouTube?" And I was absolutely amazed at the response that I got from doing that. People seemed to be really appreciative. And I've continued to be a video uploader onto YouTube now for 10 years. If you teach anything, one of the things that you notice is you teach yourself as you go. It's very inspirational to teach other people how to do something. Talking through the process as I do it, I think people appreciate. Craft work, especially pottery, as a potter, I can say that we're working with our hands. It's very creative, it's very hands-on, it's very touchy-feely, clay. I often think it's a great antidote to all of this, sitting around just looking at screens and tapping and all this. To be able to actually get out there with a lump of clay, something rather raw about it, smashing it down on the potter's wheel, wetting your hands and just getting into it, and just getting absorbed into the revolution of the wheel, It's like it just draws you in. You center the clay, but the clay centers you. what items these days are actually made by hand that we use on a daily basis. Most things that we touch around about our daily lives, they're made by a machine, usually, and they're made by somebody, certainly, who we don't know. So, I mean, I think that adds a very nice and important touch to our lives. And that's why I think handmade items, craft-made, artisan-made things are important things that we need in our lives. People who have, say, one of my coffee mugs, you know, they can pull it down from the shelf. They can hold it and they can look at it and they can think, wow, this was made with Simon's hands. Maybe not my hands, maybe another potter's hands, but what I mean is it's a very personal expression. I always try and encourage people who've never perhaps had a go on a potter's wheel. Have a go, you know. You don't know what you know, that clay moving through your hands, that silky, creamy smoothness, that watery, revolving piece of clay, you know. I mean, it's so creative. You can just take it and form it and shape it. You know, you get totally absorbed by it. Sometimes I feel I need to get out into the pottery, get on the wheel, start throwing some clay, making some pots, you know. It's like a healing. It's a healing to my being sometimes by doing that. Hey folks, thanks for stopping by and thank you for coming and viewing me here on my YouTube channel. I hope it's been helpful to you and inspiring to you. If you're interested in workshops, we do offer workshops here, hands-on workshops. You can find details about that on my website, simonleachpottery.com. You can also write to me at simonleachpottery@gmail.com. So please do that, and also please give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Hey, keep practicing. I'll see you soon.